Now at 5, we're live in Chanute, Kansas as the town prepares for its annual Artists Alley event. Plus, authorities in McDonald County, Missouri are warning residents not to worry about pieces of a mannequin in a river. And Mercy Hospital in Columbus, Kansas has a new piece of equipment to make advanced imaging easier.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A perfect weekend for a festival. Chanute, Kansas is preparing for tomorrow's 54th annual Artist Alley celebration. It's always held on the last Saturday in September, and it'll feature a lot more than just art. It's also going to have a train and helicopter ride, classic car cruises, a parade, live music, a petting zoo, charity run, a parade, food, of course, and a lot more. Hi, everybody. This is KOAM News at 5. We're live from downtown Chanute, Kansas. We're going to have more on the weekend festival for you in just a moment. But first, some of today's top stories. A Carthage man is dead after a crash involving his pickup and a tractor trailer near Carthage. Investigators say just before 6:30 last night, a pickup pulled into the path of an 18-wheeler at Missouri 96 and County Road 80. Pickup driver John James of Carthage was thrown from the vehicle and died at the scene. The semi-driver suffered only minor injuries. Mercy Hospital in Columbus, Kansas today blessed a new piece of equipment. The hospital has a computer tomography suite. It allows for advanced imaging such as CT scans and 3D mammography, but it does it faster and at a higher resolution than traditional machines. Following Mercy tradition, when a new service is offered at the facility, they bless the equipment.
Mercy is Catholic healthcare, and so we like to bless new spaces, new facilities, different things like that, because we feel like it's the right way to start out before patients are coming and going from this space. Many times they're sick, they're wounded, whatever, and if we can add that extra piece that Mercy brings, it makes it really special for us.
The hospital first got a CT machine in 2018, but it was a mobile unit, so patients had to go outside to use it. Last weekend's rain might have to turn Elk River into a haunted one for some unadvised visitors because of the flash flood that hit the campground where Elk River had its haunted float adventure and hosted about 6 mannequins. They got lost in the water and they might still be floating in the river. The owners of Haunted Float and Adventure estimate about 12 arms, 6 torsos, and 8 legs are somewhere downriver. The McDonald County Sheriff's Office says they haven't received any calls about it yet.
We will respond as we normally would, but our deputies have it in mind that these mannequins were lost, and that is something that they need to consider whenever they're responding, if we do get a call.
We came out here and the only thing we could see was the 13-foot ghoul with his hand sticking out. So all the mannequins were covered and underwater, and when the water went down, nothing was here.
Authorities still advise people to call 911 if they see anything out of the ordinary. The Big Iron Overland Rally Music Festival takes place this weekend at the historic Big Brutus Landmark. Music fans can enjoy everything from bluegrass to EDM as they enjoy a camp out and concert experience. The event began at 2 p.m. today. It's going to continue throughout the evening. There's also an auction and a wide variety of sponsors and vendors. If you're not able to make the festival today, good news, you can still head out there tomorrow. That 2-day festival will continue tomorrow, begins at 2 p.m. Also tomorrow, of course, you can come here to beautiful Chanute, Kansas, where the Art Alley event is underway. It's sunny out here.
It is. It's sunny. It is.
But it's otherwise beautiful weather.
Yeah, a little bit on the windy side as we have seen, but temperatures across the region look great. Carthage sitting at 87, 90 in Welch. Chanute is sitting at 90 degrees, so a little bit on the warm side for this time of the year. Not much going on outside, pretty much clear skies, and that's what we're going to see as we go through the evening hours. Of course, we got high school football this evening, kickoff for most of the games around 7 p.m. We're going to still be into the lower 80s, drop back into the mid 70s by the time the games end. Temperatures stay warm as we head into the weekend, but we do have some bigger changes moving in for us next week. We're going to discuss that here in just a little bit.
All right, we'll catch you in a few. Thanks, Todd. Hey, with less than 2 days to go now until the government shuts down, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says he's going to introduce a short-term spending bill known as a continuing resolution to keep government open while Congress works on a long-term spending plan. Cole Skanga has more details now from Capitol Hill.
Alice Silver can smile while she watches her kids play, but that grin fades when she thinks about what's looming.
Times are hard as it is, and a paycheck being missed is a big problem.
Silver's husband is one of more than 1 million members of the military who's facing the prospect of working without pay and potentially choosing between feeding their families or paying their bills. She had a message for members of Congress who will still be receiving paychecks during the shutdown.
Make a decision, get their stuff together and think about us real people who have real problems and real bills to pay.
The House is moving forward on a short-term bill to keep the government open, but far-right Republican members say they'll vote against the bill.
My stance isn't trying to shut the government down, it's trying to shut off the unlimited spending of the federal government's credit cards.
Those same GOP hardliners are threatening to vote out Kevin McCarthy as Speaker of the House, even as he's moved more and more to the right over time to accommodate them, but to no avail.
Members say they only want to vote for individual bills, but they hold me up all summer and won't let me bring individual bills up. Then they say they won't vote for a stopgap measure that keeps government open. So I don't know, where do you go in that scenario? Have you ever seen that?
Hundreds of thousands of federal workers will be furloughed during a shutdown, and millions more, like TSA screeners, will have to work without pay.
People who don't get paid to come into work sometimes don't come into work, even if they're asked to. So getting through an airport could be hard, getting a passport could be hard.
The shutdown takes effect at 12:01 a.m. on Sunday morning. Nicole Skanga, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Now, the Senate has passed with bipartisan support its own version of a continuing resolution that would keep the government open for 45 days. However, Speaker McCarthy says House Republicans won't consider that bill. Senator Dianne Feinstein has died at the age of 90. The California Democrat was the longest-serving female senator in U.S. history. She was also the oldest current member at the time of her death. Feinstein, a former mayor of San Francisco, was first elected to the U.S. Senate in 1992. California Governor Gavin Newsom now has the power to appoint someone to serve out the rest of that term. A major break in the murder investigation of rapper Tupac Shakur. Police have arrested a suspect in the unsolved murder. Dwayne Davis, also known as Keffe D, is now in custody and facing charges in the 1996 murder. Shakur was killed in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas. He was just 25 years old at the time. Up next, we're going to tell you about the train rides for visitors to this weekend's Artist Alley Festival from right here live in Chanute, Kansas. We'll be right back. Welcome back once again. We are in downtown Chanute, Kansas, where the community is preparing for tomorrow's Artist Alley event. It's the 54th year of that celebration. Also, it happens to be the 150th celebration of this town's birthday, and a lot of this town's history is wrapped up in the railroad. This was kind of a central area for the railroad. Dan Melfelt is with Community National Bank, and your bank, again this year, as it has in years past, is sponsoring railroad rides, train rides. Tell me about that.
Well, it's a pleasure to have Watco follow in the tradition that they have established for more than 15 years of bringing their wonderful train over here, their premier passenger train. It's probably well over 15 years, and it will handle roughly 700 kids and adults and grandparents that will enjoy train rides perhaps for the first time.
People who visited Chanute are well aware of that beautiful train station, which is now the library and the Safari Museum. But again, this is a rich part of this community's history. Tell me about the railroad routes, or what you know of it for Chanute.
You know, the history goes back well into the 1800s, and there was once 4 towns at the intersection here that, of all things, Octave Chanute, who actually was involved with the Wright brothers, and the flyer came here as the lead engineer, got the towns to communicate together as it became a central point in the train station, which we now see over at the Santa Fe Depot.
I imagine a lot of people, when they ride the train tomorrow, it's going to be the first and maybe the only time in their lives that they will have ridden a train. What's that experience going to be like?
I think it'll be fantastic for those kids, and of course that's what it's all about. It wouldn't happen without the generosity of Watco and wonderful premier cars that they have to make this happen.
I know there is a fee involved, but it's minimal. Hope a lot of people come out and participate. And you say that in years past, Hundreds have ridden this train.
Absolutely. We are generally sold out, and so I was just visiting with Ruth Ann. Main Street Chanute has been very involved in all of this, again, with Community National and Horizon Aerospace that's here, and so we know that there will be in excess of 700 that will be riding.
Wow, very good. Dan Melfeld, Community National Bank, thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for KOAM being here.
Very much. We'll be right back with Doug's forecast. That's coming up next.
Well, of course, we're out here live in downtown Chanute getting ready for Artist Alley, which is going to be going on for us tomorrow. It's a nice afternoon. Of course, we have high school football going on as we go through the evening hours. Let's look at our high school football forecast. It's warm. Most of us are going to be sitting into lower 80s by the time games kick off. Of course, our evening daylight hours have been shrinking up. 75 by the fourth quarter, but it looks pretty good. All right, yesterday, every Thursday, our new drought tracker comes out, and with the rain that we had last week, things look better. In fact, Joplin is officially out of the drought. Pittsburgh conditions, pretty bad drought really from Nevada over toward Yates Center, Chanute, and also Independence. Temperatures right now, we are warm. We're still sitting mid to upper 80s, 88 in Nevada. We have 89 in Chautauqua, 90 in Miami. Chanute is sitting at 90 degrees, but it looks good. A few little cumulus clouds out there. 88, 7th and range line, feels like 90. Visibility is good. South winds at about 10 to 15, but we've been getting gusts higher than that. In fact, you can see these wind gusts over the past couple hours, and we have those south winds, especially on the Kansas side, a little bit stronger, and those winds are going to stay fairly breezy as we go through the overnight hours tonight. Not a whole bunch going on. We have clear skies. Most of the Central Plains, we are looking pretty good. Clear skies, and if you look out toward the west, also not a whole bunch going on. So that's our weather as we go through the next couple days. Then things will start to pick up a bit by the middle of next week. All right, let me walk you through your weekend. We're going to start mid to upper 60s during the morning hours. Once we get to the noon hour on Saturday, I think most of us are going to be into the mid 80s, and then kind of hot again tomorrow. Upper 80s to lower 90s depending on where you live, but most of us right around 90 to 91 degrees as we go into the afternoon. All right, tomorrow night looks good. We drop back upper 60s once again, and then as we go into Sunday, much of the same. Sunny skies, high temperatures once again right around 90 degrees. There could be an isolated little sprinkle or two, but most of you are going to end up staying dry. So if we break down the weekend, 90 for highs both days, Saturday and Sunday. It's going to stay a little bit on the breezy side, and the humidity is going to be a little bit up there. Once we get this big dome of high pressure to break down, then we will start to see some changes and we'll actually cool off. As we go through next week, you can see a much stronger storm system pulling out into the Central Plains. This is actually going to give us pretty good chances for rain, but it's also going to cool us down, giving us fairly nice temperatures. 90 tomorrow, 90 on Sunday, 89 on Monday, and then look at this. Rain chances Wednesday and Thursday, and then a stretch of 70s for highs the second half of next week.
I'm loving the sound of that.
I know.
It'll be fall. Maybe not officially, but it's going to feel like.
It's going to feel pretty good.
Topic today, Southwatch Life is World Heart Day. Doctors remind everyone that women's heart health. Studies show women who suffer a cardiac arrest wait longer for emergency care than men do.
3 years ago, Catherine Fitzgerald was at her son's graduation party when she felt violently ill.
I couldn't breathe, and I felt like my right elbow was broken.
The attorney and mother of 3 was having a heart attack, but she says when paramedics arrived, they missed it.
I explained to them my symptoms and my pain and everything, and the paramedics said, "Oh, you're having a panic attack." And I said, "No, I'm not having a panic attack. I'm dying." And he goes, "Well, that's what people say when they're having a panic attack."
Days later, she went to the hospital on her own. She needed 2 stents, and the delay in treatment left her with permanent heart damage.
I would rather that you...
Her current cardiologist, Dr. Harmony Reynolds at NYU Langone Health, says it's a story she hears from too many women. even those who go to the ER right away.
I have heard story after story of women getting ignored in the emergency room, getting told that it almost certainly wasn't their heart, that it was probably stress.
Dr. Reynolds studied women and men who report symptoms of chest pain at emergency rooms. She found women wait longer to get care by an average of 11 minutes.
Every minute that interruption is there, heart muscle is dying.
For women, signs of heart attack can include chest pain, shortness of breath, nausea, and severe arm pain. A list Catherine says everyone should know.
Any woman that you love, a sister, a mother, a wife, know those symptoms, and if it happens to her, have her back and get her checked out.
Having the muscle to demand care could make all the difference for her heart. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Exactly.
Heart disease is the leading cause of death for women in the U.S., but the CDC says half of women are unaware of that fact. Just a little exercise can go a long way. Studies in Australia find short spurts of activity like walking upstairs or mopping the floor can reduce the risk of a heart attack, stroke, even premature death. Researchers say the longer you exercise, the better, and a brisk pace also helps. Coming up, the United Auto Workers Union expands its strike against two of the largest automakers in the country. Topping today's Consumer Watch, the United Auto Workers Union is expanding its strike to include 2 additional facilities. It says about 7,000 more members are walking off the job. They're at a Ford plant in Chicago and a GM facility in Lansing, Michigan. The union says it's not including the Stellantis plant in the expansion due to progress in negotiations. UAW says about 25,000 members are now included in the strike, which started back on September 15th. The Department of Labor is now investigating Purdue Farms and Tyson Foods over possible child labor law violations. The investigation follows a report from the New York Times earlier this month. The report mentioned an underage migrant worker was severely injured while working for a sanitation company hired by Purdue in Virginia. Purdue says it plans to cooperate fully with any government inquiry on this matter and take appropriate actions based on the findings. Tyson has yet to comment. A U.S. government lawsuit alleges Tesla allowed racism at its factory in Fremont, California. The suit accuses the automaker of allowing repeated and overt displays of racism toward black employees. The suit also alleges instances of racist taunts and threats, including death threats. It says black employees who complained about the behavior were subject to retaliation. Americans have been signing fewer contracts to buy homes. The National Association of Realtors says pending home sales dropped last month. Its report shows a more than 7% dip from July. That's short of analysts' expectations. And it suggests would-be buyers might be balking at high interest rates. This is the highest they've been in 23 years. Final check with the forecast live from right here in Chanute. Up next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, Steve Hartman's going to take us on the road with a man looking to travel to all 7 continents. And then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to have more on the mannequin pieces floating in a river in McDonald County. Quite a sight. Plus, 4 States Heart Walk is tomorrow. We're going to learn about its significance. And, of course, Friday Night Football. Sports Director John Dales will be live in Riverton to preview their matchup against Parsons. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Right now, Doug and I are in downtown Chanute for the Artist Alley, which is going to be going on here tomorrow. And the weather really couldn't be better now.
Yeah, it's actually turned out very nice. High school football this evening. Everything looks pretty good. Temperatures dropping back through the 80s. It is going to be a little bit hot this weekend. High temperatures right around 90 degrees.
Yeah, but fall coming soon.
Yes.
Enough, fall weather anyway. Thanks for joining us. CBS Evening News is next. Of course, we'll be right back here live from Chanute at 6. Let's make it a great evening.